Hello and welcome to Safety That Works. My name is Dakota and today I want to talk about different incident types and why they are so important to report and investigate. Let's get to it. Incident reporting is of the utmost importance in a safety program. But why? We constantly hear the phrase, every incident, no matter how minor, must be reported, but that is not enough. When you have a production manager who's got too much on his plate already, and you ask him to report every little incident, he's gonna ask, if no one got hurt, why should I care? Or if all the employee needed was a Band-Aid, is it really that big of a deal? And yes, it is. It's our responsibility as safety professionals to help our team understand the why so that they'll be bought in on these programs as partners with us. So let's talk about 4 different incident types and why they are so important to report and investigate. The first type of incident we're going to discuss is a near miss. A near miss is any incident that almost led to an injury or property loss, but didn't. Notice I said incident because a near miss is 100% an incident. That's an important note because a lot of times people will confuse a hazard with a near miss. The difference being a hazard is not an event. A hazard is something that exists that could cause an event, but a near miss is an event. For example, if you were to trip over a pallet and fall, the pallet in the walkway would be your hazard, but the fall itself is your near miss. It is important to report near misses because near misses are a warning that something more serious is about to occur. For instance, in our pallet example, the fall was a warning that something is wrong, and if that something isn't corrected, someone's gonna get hurt. So during our incident investigation, we should find that there's a pallet in a place it shouldn't be, and we would remove that pallet, thus removing the hazard and preventing the incident from happening again. Of course, there's more to dig into, like why the pallet was there in the first place and whether there's other underlying issues, but that's a simplified example of what we're trying to do by investigating these incidents. The second type of incident we're going to discuss is a first aid. A first aid incident is any incident in which an employee is injured, but it's not severe enough that we need medical professional assistance to treat, no prescription medications, and it doesn't impact the employee's ability to work. Now, a great example of this would be if you fell over a pallet, we'll stick with our pallet example, and you sustained a scrape on your elbow, right? You clean it off and put a bandage on it. Even if you cleaned it off, put a bandage on it, as long as it's something that you don't have to seek a medical professional's assistance to treat, you don't need any kind of medications, work restrictions, you're not missing any time from work, anything like that, this would be a first aid incident. First aid incidents are important to report for the same reasons as near misses, because we want to prevent them from happening to someone else. It's still a warning that something more serious is about to occur. But also we want to make sure the employee gets proper care. A first aid incident can become a much more serious injury if it's not properly treated. You can ask just about any safety professional that you know, and they've probably got stories of people who failed to report an injury, failed to take care of it, and it became much more serious. Myself, I've seen this firsthand numerous times with a minor sprain or strain that probably could have been treated as a first aid, but the employee failed to report it and continued to aggravate it to the point that it required restrictions from their work, prescription medications, and sometimes even physical therapy. It's really important that we get the employee taken care of. The third type of incident I want to discuss is an OSHA recordable incident. Now, an OSHA recordable incident is an injury to an employee that meets OSHA's recordability standards, meaning you're required by law to record it. Now, this would be anything that requires medical assistance to treat, anything that requires prescription medications, time away from work, or work restrictions. If you go back to our pallet example, if you were to trip over the pallet and break your arm, that would be an OSHA recordable. If you were to get a cut that needs stitches or even get a sprain or a strain that requires work restrictions to give you time to heal, those would be examples of an OSHA recordable incident. Because these are mandatory recordable incidents by law, that is one good reason that we need these reported to us. Another reason is we want to prevent it from happening again, just like we've discussed in previous examples. We also want to make sure the employee gets proper care and that the employee is following their care instructions. I can't stress enough. Employees who receive proper care and follow through on that care are much more likely to get a 100% recovery, and usually happens a lot quicker. We also want to make sure that any bills that result from this are paid promptly, and we want a chance to do our own investigation. In serious cases, OSHA may come on site to do an investigation of their own, and it'll look a lot better if you have already started your investigation and you have other investigations of less serious incidents in the past to show them as a measure of good faith. The last type of incident I want to discuss today is a property damage incident. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory. Anytime company-owned property is damaged, that's a property damage incident. If we go back to our pallet example once again, if you were to trip over a pallet and break the pallet, or if you were carrying a tool and you were to fall and drop it and it breaks, that would be a property damage incident. These are important to report for the above reasons that we've already discussed. The main thing being we want to prevent it from happening again. So we want to do an investigation so we can identify the hazard that caused the incident so that we can prevent it from continuing to be a hazard. We also want to make sure whatever got broken is fixed, because I don't know about you, but every time I go to grab a tool and it's already broken, I get pretty frustrated. So as you can see, it is important to report and investigate all different types of incidents. As tempting as it is to think OSHA recordables are the only ones serious enough to sink time into, we have to remember that all of them have really good reasons for us to investigate them. OSHA strongly recommends all incidents, no matter how minor, are fully investigated. This is the best way for us to prevent injuries, to prevent major incidents. The data backs this up. There's been multiple studies that have found that for every major injury you have, there's dozens of minor injuries and hundreds of near misses that were warning you. Remember, a near miss is just that. It's something almost happened. It's a warning that something serious is going to happen and someone is going to get hurt if you don't find the hazard and correct the hazard before that happens. That concludes our discussion on incident types and why they are important to report and investigate. If you think I missed something, drop it below in the comments and let's talk about it. If this video was helpful for you, please hit the subscribe button for more safety videos. Thank you.